Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. I just wanted to put together something a little special, just you and me, you know. Cheers. Cheers. Now, I've said before on this channel, I'm not the biggest fan of Valentine's Day. It's just so commercial, and there's all this pressure to be in a romantic relationship and to like go out on a date or do something like that and spend all this money and blah blah blah, yada yada yada. That's not cool. Don't like that. The aesthetic though, I do like that. I do like it. Yes. I just love pinks and reds and ruffles and lace and it's nice, okay? I like it. So I would like to make a pretty frilly little dress to wear for Valentine's Day. I'm thinking something kind of like red and white with like little hearts and, you know, maybe like gingham or something. I don't know where I might find such a fabric. I got this tablecloth at the thrift store almost a year ago. I think it was when I was buying fabric for my Met Gala dress last year, so I've been holding on to it, keeping it in my stash, waiting. It also came with a set of matching napkins, so I have those as well. So I should have plenty to make a cute, simple pinafore with a circle skirt and pockets. And since this dress is going to look like a picnic blanket, I figure why not make some little treats to go with it. So I'm going to also be making a purse that looks like a little box of heart-shaped chocolate. A heart-shaped box of chocolates. The chocolate will be probably rectangles. Maybe one will be heart-shaped, I don't know, we'll see. And so I really hate to have to cut our date short. I am going to be needing this in order to get started, so if you'll just excuse me, I need to... I started off by draping a bodice pattern. I used this to make a mock-up, which I swear I filmed, but I seem to have lost all of that footage, but it happened, trust me. Okay, so my plan for the dress is to make the bodice portion out of the napkins. I think I should have plenty. I have 7 napkins. I haven't actually checked how many, if I can fit my pattern pieces on these. Hold please. That's not very good. I think it'll work. I think it'll just work. If not, I should have some scraps left over of the tablecloth because my plan is to do a circle skirt out of the tablecloth. Now that I think about it, this fabric has a directional pattern. Like the hearts go one way. There's so much lint on everything I own. I'm so sorry. If I turn it upside down, which is what will happen on a circle skirt because it's a circle, part of it's going to be upside down. I can orient it so that it's right side up in the front and then sideways on the sides and upside down in the back. I could do like a paneled gourd skirt, but I would have to like top and tail the pattern pieces, so like you cut out like a wedge shaped piece and so you cut one out like this and the other one like this so they kind of nest into each other. But of course if I do that, some of them are still going to be upside down. I don't know if I want to sew that many side seams though. I don't think I mind it being upside down in the back. And I'll just do a circle skirt. I think that'll be fine. Yeah, I think that'll be fine.
10 seconds later.
So actually no, I can't do a circle skirt. It's not wide enough. So it's going to be a paneled skirt. You know what? If it's a paneled skirt and there's side seams, it'll be easier to do pockets. So I think I want to work on the bodice first. In order to do that, I need to unpick the hems on the napkins. So I'm gonna grab my seam ripper and get these hems ripped out. So I unpicked those hems with a little help from my apprentice, and then I was able to cut out my bodice pieces. And look, here you can see the piece of my mock-up that I'm using as my pattern piece. I did make a mock-up, and I did film it, and it did disappear. So I don't know what to tell you. I was just pressing the edges of the tablecloth after I seam ripped all of them, and it starts sliding off my ironing board. Whatever could that be causing that? A fiend. Once the tablecloth was all prepped, I sat down to do a little math to figure out how I was going to cut out the panels for the skirt. The real benefit to me getting this camera is I can use the calculator on my phone while filming. It's a miracle. Am I recording? Yes, I am. We're good. I think I can fit 3 full panels in one row and then another row of 3, and then also get 2 half panels along the sides. I did a real bad job of explaining this in the moment, so let me clarify here. Given the dimensions and pattern of my fabric, I decided the best way to cut out the panels was like this. So I ended up with 4 panels with the pattern right side up, and then 2 full panels with the pattern upside down, and 4 half panels with the pattern upside down. So I ended up with these pieces. If I stitched the half panels together, I would end up with 4 panels each with the pattern right side up and upside down. To assemble the skirt, I alternated between panels with the pattern right side up and upside down. 30 inches? Was I gonna do a 30-inch skirt? Am I that tall? I am unfortunately that tall. Okay. Upside down. Boy, turn me inside out. Why is that so much wider? Round and round. Once the skirt panels were all cut out, I labeled them all with numbers to keep track of what order they were going to go in, as well as marking out where I wanted to put the pockets. With everything cut out, I could finally start assembling, so I started with the bodice and just seamed up all of the panels on the outer layer and the lining. I pressed all my seams and then stitched the outer and lining layers together along the top edge, and then turned it all right side out. Can I please get back to sewing? He never wants to sit in my lap. Never. And the one time he does is when I'm actively working on a sewing project. And yes, I do have just clumps of his hair on my leg now from petting him. And then I moved on to the skirt. I attached the pocket pieces first and then assembled all of the panels together with French seams. Now, the fact that these stripes don't match up does make me a little bit crazy, but it is a very swooshy skirt, so hopefully it balances itself out. Then I leveled out the bottom edge and then hemmed the skirt, and then I was able to attach the skirt to the bodice. I ended up doing the zipper entirely off camera because I had a lot of issues getting it to work, but I did finally get it installed, and I finished off the straps with a little bit of hand sewing, and that completed the dress. You're gonna have to wait till the end of the video to see the finished product, but until then, it's time to work on the purse. So the dress is all done, so that means it's time to start working on the purse, which I'm very excited for. I have been planning and thinking through like how I'm gonna put it all together, so I'm like So I have printed out a little template piece to be able to cut it out. It's like just big enough to fit my phone. That's all it really needs to do. I have purchased some Fusion Shape, which is a heavyweight double-sided interfacing. I've used it in the past for other bags, so I know it works really well for this kind of thing. It's gonna add a lot of structure to the purse and make sure it maintains that shape. I've got a bunch of other stuff for this. I've got some red satin, which if you watched my Valentine's Day video from last year, you'll remember her. I know where it is, hang on, let me get it. I'm gonna forget about it and then walk out of my room to go do laundry and have that on. Oh god, there's a wig in here. I'm like digging around blind in this box and there's a wig in there. That was fun to grab unsighted. Her. This is the rest of that red satin. If you would like to see how I made this, you can watch my Valentine's Day video from last year. I'll link that somewhere. So I've got that satin, I've got, you know, zipper, beads. I got this chain to use as the strap. I have some more hardware coming in from Wawak that I'll be using. I've got felt in 2 shades of brown to use to make the different little chocolates. And I've also got the beads to go with that. Those like sprinkles or sanding sugar. Got different colors of embroidery floss to decorate those. And then, you know, I figured I would need to do research. So I bought this for research. It's research. Okay. Let's get to work. So I cut my pattern pieces out of the fusion shape, and then I ironed on my fabric. I had the red satin on the one side, but since this is a double-sided interfacing, I needed to put something on the other side or else I would just have raw interfacing sticking to my ironing board. So I decided to use this scrap brown cotton that I had in my stash. You'll never see it because it gets covered by the lining in the end, but I did like the idea that this interlining layer that you'll never see also matches the color scheme. I folded a piece of the red satin to cover both sides of a strip of interfacing to make the lip of the box, and then struggled immensely to get this sewn on by machine. I ended up having to go back in and fix some stuff by hand, but I got it on decently well, enough in the end. So I've got the lip sewn onto the front of the bag, so now I'm going to work on the little candies that I'm going to make to go inside. I've worked out a plan of how I want to lay these all out, what I want this to look like. Just did this in Illustrator and then printed it out, and then I made like a template version so I can cut these out and use them as like pattern pieces. I'm going to make little fake paper cups. They're going to be out of fabric, but they're going to look like a little muffin. You know, a little fancy chocolate box. They got a little paper wrapper and they're nice and they're fancy. I'm going to do that. So now we're going to make little felt candies, and I'm so excited. I'm so excited to do this. I just feel like they're going to be so fun to make. Oh, they're gonna be so fun. They're gonna be so cute. They're like a little hand sewing thing I'm just very in the mood for. So I'm gonna do that now. I started with the heart-shaped chocolate just to get the most difficult one out of the way first. I traced my pattern pieces and then cut them out on the dark brown felt, and then decorated the top of the candy with some little pink seed beads to kind of look like sprinkles or sanding sugar. I then assembled the pieces all together by hand, and turned it right side out, and then stuffed it with fabric scraps left over from the dress. Once I stitched up that little opening, the first candy was complete. I continued making the candies, using a stem stitch to embroider designs onto some of them, doing more beading for others, but soon I had a full box worth of chocolates complete. Okay, so all of the chocolates are done, so it's time to work on the little paper wrappers that are not going to be paper. They're going to be fabric, but they're going to be like the little kind of paper wrappers you get on candies. Anyway, fewer chocolates than I had planned to end up with, obviously. They ended up being a bit bigger, and I think just spacing them out more looks better. I'm going to start with the square because it seems like it will be the easiest. I traced out the finished candies to make sure the bottom of the paper wrappers would be the correct size, and then I cut out 2 of those pieces. I then cut out a long narrow strip of fabric to use as the sides of the wrapper. In order to make the process easier to do all these super teeny tiny little pleats, I made a little miniature pleating board out of paper. So first I just marked out lines on my paper about a 1/4 inch apart. I then folded accordion style on those lines, then unfolded that and refolded it as pleats using those creases to make it easier. I taped the back to secure everything down. I was then able to manipulate my fabric strip under the little flaps of the pleating board, and then once I had a section done, I would press it in the pleating board, let it cool, and then I could pull it out and I would have a little section of pleats. And then I could just keep moving along until I had the whole strip pleated. I stitched the bottom edge of the pleats down just to secure everything, and then carefully pinned the pleated strip in between the 2 bottom layers with the strip kind of coiled around inside the little sandwich so that when I turn it right side out, it'll be on the outside edge. It was just a lot of finagling. I carefully stitched this down by machine, turned it right side out, and closed up that last little gap. And with a little pressing, I had a nice little wrapper that I could put my candy in, but I didn't quite like how much the wrapper flared out. So I tried securing the wrappers around the candies with some embroidery floss and pins, and then pressing them in place again and letting them cool. That helped a bit, but they still kind of started to flare away from the candies, so I ended up tying them back up with some more string, and then took my little Christmas puddings and brushed them with a very diluted glue water to act as like a starch. And once this dried, it helped a lot to keep the wrappers in place.
Wig that parachute buckle onto my wig cap. My biggest problem with my strawberry.
And with all the candies made, it was time to move on to finishing the structure of the purse. I applied a lightweight interfacing to more of the red satin for the panels that would go on either side of the zipper, sewed those to the zipper, and then added little loops of satin with D-rings so I could attach the chain to the bag later. I used the heavier weight interfacing for the bottom of the side panel, and then with Sarah Spaceman, patron saint of putting stupid through your sewing machine, there to guide me, attempted to sew this to the front panel on my machine. This failed spectacularly. I ended up having to carefully seam rip this out of polyester satin, which went about as well as you can expect, and then ended up having to meticulously sew this all together by hand. I decided the back panel should have a little bit of decoration as well, so I pleated down this lace trim that I had in my stash, and then stitched that on by machine to the back panel in the shape of a heart. And then painstakingly sewed the back panel onto the front and sides, and that finished the main body of the bag. So now it was time to work on the lining. I used leftover fabric from the dress for this, and I added a little zippered pocket to the inside as well. I'll link a tutorial about how to do this in the description, because I definitely did not show this in enough detail to be able to explain it well. That's why we have Professor Pincushion. And then I was able to meticulously hand sew the lining into the bag as well. So the body of the purse is done. The lining is in, all the decoration on the back is on. Next thing to do is to add the chocolates. And you might be thinking, well, why did you wait till this point to add in the candies? Like, wouldn't it have been easier to sew them on, like, with it, like, only partially assembled, without the lining at the very least? You're right, it would have been easier to sew it at that point, but I'm not sewing it. It's just not gonna work sewing them on. It's not gonna be easy. I'd said it earlier, I think, that I'd worked with this interfacing before. I'd got something different. I don't know what this is. It's thicker and hard to sew through. It's very annoying. It was gonna be really annoying to, like, attach the sides and the back all together with the candies on, so I couldn't do that until the bag was assembled, and, like, sewing around with your hand in the bag is just not, it's just not. I think it'll be fine. Once I get that done, I just need to put the chain on for the strap. And the purse is done, and the dress is done, so I guess it's time for the reveal. So that is it. I am super happy with both the dress and the bag. The dress, I really like it. I think it fits pretty good overall. It's a little bit too fitted in the bodice. That's just something I keep doing whenever I make fitted garments. I make them a little too fitted. The only real thing that I take issue with is the zipper in the back is much more visible than I want it to be. I had to make like more of the zipper tape visible when I installed it to add a little bit more width because the bodice is too fitted. So it's definitely very bright. I wish I had done like a lapped zipper so that it wouldn't be so visible or gotten an invisible zipper, but I didn't, so oh well, that's what it looks like. The purse I am so happy with. It is so cute. It is like exactly what I was picturing in my head. Like the one thing I really am not happy about is the way it hangs. When you have it like dangling, it kind of tilts forward a little bit. I think I should have put the D-rings a little bit lower and that would have made it hang a little bit better. But you know, when you have it like on your shoulder, it doesn't matter. The one other thing I'm not super happy with is the length of the strap. It's a little too short to be able to do it like a crossbody bag, which is the kind of bag I prefer. I can always just buy more chain and make this longer. I love the way that the chocolates turned out. They're so cute. They're so just like, I'm very happy with it. But yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, you could leave a like or a comment down below. That really helps me grow the channel. Speaking of, we recently hit 4,000 subscribers, which is kind of crazy. So thank you so much to everyone who has subscribed. Oh god, I have to readjust. Oh, my legs are so sweaty. Oh, I have a bunch of ideas for projects I want to do this year and make videos about, and I would love for you to be here to see those. One of those ideas is a subscribers design my dress kind of thing that I want to do. I'm thinking at 10,000 subscribers. I have no idea how long it's going to take for me to get there, so if that ends up taking forever, maybe it'll be like a 5,000 subscriber thing, who knows. But if you would like to see that, hit subscribe. I've got some ideas of how you guys can all help me out in making a dress, designing a dress. You design it, I make it. That's how it works. If you want to make me a dress, you're more than welcome to. So that is it. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye! You want to subscribe. You want to subscribe and like the video.